I don't believe there's any such thing as narcissism. When we label someone as a narcissist, it's because they're not living into what we want. They're not living into our values, what we wanted. So who's the narcissist all of a sudden? Is it them, or is it us for expecting somebody else to do what we wanted, to say what we wanted, to think what we wanted, to act how we wanted? If somebody is being narcissistic in your opinion and they're overstepping the way that you want to be treated, that's a you thing. You need to learn how to communicate your boundaries and hold better standards for yourself.
Welcome back to another episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. I'm your host, Teresa. So my guest today is someone that I connected with in early 2021. I found her on social media, of all places these days. Hello. And I worked with her for a couple months in her business, and then I faded away. And then later in 2021, I kind of reconnected with her again. I kind of watched through the year what she was up to and what I was going through. And then in early 2022, I signed up for her program called The Collective. And I am so excited to have Shani Taylor here today. And I want to tell you a bit about her. I call her a universal alchemist of helping her clients creating connections through social media content that helps match their soul's energy and attract the situations, business, and clients that they're ready for. Shani, at the age of 11, go figure, 11 years old, was given the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it was there her curiosity for understanding people and knowing how to connect with them began. Shani works with coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs from all walks of life and facilitates a pathway of growth, understanding themselves and therefore others, which ignites that connection, communication, and amplifies their business mission and message so they can have a greater influence, impact, and income. Welcome, Shani.
Oh my God, Teresa, I'm sitting here already in tears. You just...
Don't you love hearing about yourself? I do.
Well, of course, but you know, what really got me was you started with universal alchemist. I have never heard that before, and I'm just like, wow, that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. That lights my soul up. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being here. And I'll tell you, I got that from Spirit about 20 minutes ago. Seriously.
Wow.
Like I tune in right before and I'm like, Universal Alchemist. Hello, that is exactly what Shani does.
Oof, that's still lighting my skin up. Well, I think we're done here. I think we're...
Everyone connect in the show notes. Here's Shani. Bye. Woo, that was the quickest I've ever had, Shani. What a great interview that was.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. No,
we're so good, girl. Okay, so
that's beautiful.
Damn, I love what you do, lady. That's all I'm saying. And so this month is about industry. So I like in these podcasts, mind, body, spirit aspects of spirituality, but this month it's industry. So what a great time to have you on and talk about some business aspects, but really bringing in that spiritual part of understanding who we are as a soul. So I would love you to start, Shani, with tell a little bit about your background and how you came into really understanding who you are as a soul and your path.
Oh, that's such a big question, isn't it? I think probably anybody listening to your podcast will have an incredible story, I believe, of challenge and expansion and a rebirth into who they were supposed to be in this life. And I feel like probably the listeners of your podcast can relate to that experience of being born into a place, a situation, a family, an environment where they felt and they knew to their core that this wasn't where they, like, yes, it's where you're supposed to be, but you know that it's not who you're supposed to become. And, you know, for me, the journey has been, there's been a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, but also very much necessary in order to be able to really go to higher levels of awareness. And I think, you know, I often think about, you know, people who are born into wealth, like often they may have a lot of financial wealth, but mentally and spiritually, maybe not so much because they haven't had to experience a lot of challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think for people who experience a lot of challenge early on, they're the ones that we kind of look at and go, wow, they've come so far, they've achieved so much, they've had such rapid growth, because it's the sink or swim mentality, right? It's like you're either going to have to do it or you're gonna sink. So for me, I was born into a family that I did not feel I belonged to whatsoever. I'm actually the product of an affair, and I share this now because it is in my book, which I know we're going to get to. But I was born into a family where I wasn't even wanted in many ways, and then my mother partnered up and had some children, and for whatever reason, it was just like, even though they were my half sisters, I just never really belonged in that environment. And it was quite a volatile environment as well. And so I did find solace in books and writing. And so when I was given this book at the age of 11, How to Win Friends and Influence People, like that was really the knowing that there was more out there than what I was existing in. Because I was like a very low socioeconomic household, picked on considerably at school. I had bright red hair. I was taller than everybody else. I was skinny and lanky. It was just the complete misfit. So the books and the writing became like a focal point early on. And it was really where I kind of found the vehicle and the connection outside of the physical realm. And, writing for me, especially at that age, was like a connection to the universe. It was like things coming through me, to me and through me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was out of home from a pretty young age, and I picked up an intravenous drug addiction, and blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. And then had my son a few days after I turned 23, so I had him really really young, and became a single parent shortly after, about 11 weeks later. And the rest is history. It's just like I shared those key things because that's kind of the formative years, you know what I mean? And I'm so lucky because most people end up a statistic that have been through similar scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Streets, drug addiction, low socioeconomic. So I feel incredibly grateful to be where I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so are the people that you work with, because you've got a great community online that's been building up. And that's like I started the conversation with that, I started with you or found you in early 2021.
Yeah.
And then that whole year was a progression for myself and you. And then it just like everything kind of came together in the end of 2021 into 2022 now.
Yeah.
And so I like to talk a little bit about how we mirror one another, because you often talk about that in the classes that we're in, and that it's really interesting how we do mirror, like your energy mirrors my energy. And so at some point I was like, oh, that mirror from Shani, it's time to work with Shani again. So I'd love for you to share your perspective on mirroring one another.
So yeah, that's a fantastic thing to talk about. In psychology, there's this whole concept and principle about mirroring, but quite interestingly, I think even if you aren't familiar with the principle or you haven't looked at much to do with psychology, I think from a human behavior perspective, you inherently have been taught to mirror other people because it is a survival technique, actually. But from a business perspective or a connection perspective, even if it's not just in business, but with any sort of connection perspective, there's a lot of disconnection in how we kind of feel about ourselves on a day-to-day basis, how we feel with others in our personal life, in our relationships, in our friendships. And then also from an industry perspective, if you're online and you're trying to grow your business, you can often open up your social media and just feel overwhelmed by all of the content, frustrated by the lack of quality content, because there's a lot of people just getting on social media kind of sharing just like it's their diary. And then also as a sharer, you can feel ignored because you share from your heart and you post something up there and you're really enthused and excited to share it. And then it kind of doesn't go the way that you planned. You get crickets. or a handful of likes. Mum's your biggest fan. Thanks so much, Mum. Appreciate it, but that's not why we posted. Right?
Yes.
So the whole mirror concept, whether it's you sharing content or you in a conversation or you delivering to a group of people, mirroring is about meeting people at their level of awareness and their understanding. Because I think conflict happens a lot of the time. We're often speaking about the same thing, but we're using different language and different ways to describe the same thing. And then people feel misunderstood and ignored. So this whole mirror principle is about it actually, when you can mirror other people's words and match their energy, people feel seen, they feel heard, and then you actually create a safe space for a connection to really flourish. Yeah,
And that's part of your book, right?
it is.
From ignored to adored. Hey, how did that segue go right into the book? Beautiful.
We didn't even plan this strategically.
Wow, how about that? Love when you work with spirit, Shani. Anything's possible.
It is in my book. Do we talk about the book now? Is that what we're going to do?
Hey, might as well. Let's both hold up the books. We both have the books.
Here's the
Wins. It's a wonderful book. Yes, please share about your book, Shani.
So it is called From Ignored to Adored, and more in terms of the subhead being Ignite Connection and Communication Online to attract your soul mate clients without feeling salesy. But that book, even if you're not trying to grow your business online, and you've read it obviously, Teresa, I think you would agree that there is so much in there that you can learn just about how to show up in your relationships in general, right? But the title in itself, I think, kind of lends itself to what's going on as the human experience, whether it's in your business or outside of your business, which is you want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to be able to have connections with people where they not just see you for what they're seeing, but actually see you in a way that you see yourself. And, again, whether it's in your relationships intimately or in business. And, to go back to the whole childhood thing, like I grew up feeling like I was ignored. And I don't know, like, can you relate to that, Teresa? Have you had a similar experience? Yeah. And I think most people listening to this podcast would have had that at some point. It was like feeling like, actually, I saw this incredible, somebody tagged me in this video on Instagram the other day, and I've definitely got to hold up the photo because I took a screenshot. You know that whole I'm the black sheep of the family?
Yes.
I'm not the black sheep. I'm the spiritual goat.
I love that. That is amazing.
Right? So we grow up feeling like we're the black sheep because we have a deeper awareness, a greater connection to source, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And then we go out to try and make our impact in the world, but it's not as easy as we might think it is when we see everybody else doing it. And so ignored to adored is really about how do I take myself from looking like everybody else doing a similar thing to me, because you know that what you do is unique, and how do I show up and connect with people in such a way that all of the sudden they literally are adoring you for who you are, how you feel about yourself, not some pre-imposed, view. It's like how they see you for you. Yeah.
And that's so important because, like you're saying, so many people don't feel seen, and they aren't. I mean, and I want to go down the I-centric aspect now. So it's all about me, and me. And so what I love about what you do, Shani, and what you share with your clients and in the community you have and what you offer is that it's learning how to get out of that I-centric, aspect and really start to connect and build relationships with other people.
So I feel like my entire life's work, if I leave this realm and my legacy is that I am known for the I-centricity concept, which I obviously haven't created, but I feel like I'm bringing it to life. I will leave this world a very happy soul. From the minute I started my business, I've been talking about I-centricity. So that's one of the things that hasn't changed throughout the years. Obviously, as you grow and evolve, you do start to talk about different things. But I-centricity is at the foundation of everything that I share and everything that I do, right? So in the book, we've got a chapter called The Curse You Were Born With. And it really is this concept of eye-centricity. So we are taught, because you feel ignored, you start to almost claw for attention, right? And it's almost a survival piece. It's like you learn from a young age, nobody else is going to care, so I have to be the one. And then it's almost about this survival of, I need attention, I need connection, I need to tell people how great I am so that they see it. I need. And it becomes this me. So our brain starts to operate from a place of me, I. It's, what do I want? What do I want to say? What do I want to share? How do I want to feel? And I'm not saying that that's not a good thing, but it becomes destructive when this is the modus operandi that you are having in your brain every single day. And most people are having it and don't even realize it. They don't realize it until they read this or they hear something and they see it in themselves. So the reason so many people are being ignored in their life and in their business is because of this eye-centricity piece. So we show up, and what happens is your brain is chemically addicted to being eye-centric. So what happens is, we know your brain releases dopamine every time you share something that you want to share. You say something that you want to share. It's like a drug addiction. You get a dopamine hit. And it's that reward. It's the reward piece. So you keep doing it, but you don't realize the long term, it's actually disconnecting you from yourself and others. So we are walking around having conversations with ourselves all day long, and it's from this place of mine, I need this, I want that. Then we show up in business and we have conversations all about us, what we need, what we want. We create content around what we want and what we need. And then this is the reason people are feeling disconnected, because of their eye-centricity, because they show up, they talk about what they want, they talk about what they need. From every connection and communication that they're engaging in, they're trying to get, instead of this mirroring. Mirroring is the solution to eye-centricity, right? It's like, how do I share what I want to share? How do I get what I want to get? But in a way that the other person is influenced to want to give it, to want to come back and to have this reciprocal connection.
And that also is that big word, that N word, narcissist. Which is like the big N word these days, right? Hello, who's not a narcissist? It's like, and I think it's overused. I mean, it is, because we do have to, I believe in, like, I have 3 loyalties: loyalty to myself, loyalty to those around me, and then loyalty to the bigger picture. And I know that you work with some of that also, working from yourself outward. And that's important to understand. It's not about being narcissist, but there's a fine line with how it goes over to that narcissist part.
Well, I really love that you brought this up. I wasn't sure where you were going to take this, but I feel like we're aligned, because the term narcissist is completely overused. Now, this might be a bit controversial, and I'm going to caveat this before I say it. If you are listening to this and you feel triggered, this is an invitation for you to take a breath and actually look at why the next statement might trigger you. Because it's just a mirror. It's just an opportunity to explore. What I'm about to say is not intended to upset or offend. It's really just, this is my perspective, and it might be a mirror, right? So I don't believe there's any such thing as narcissism. When we label someone as a narcissist, it's because they're not living into what we want. They're not living into our values, what we wanted. So who's the narcissist all of a sudden? Is it them? Or is it us for expecting somebody else to do what we wanted, to say what we wanted, to think what we wanted, to act how we wanted? If somebody is being narcissistic, in your opinion, and they're overstepping the way that you want to be treated, that's a you thing. You need to learn how to communicate your boundaries and hold better standards for yourself, because it's not anybody else's responsibility on how they show up for how you want them to. That's the whole eye-centricity piece, right?
Exactly. And like you said, hello, hold on to your panties, everyone, because
Where's the triggered button? Where's the triggered button?
Right. No, or that big help. The help button.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the work you do, Shani, is that you are real. You're real. Like this is how it really is, people. There's no, no BS, no cutting to this, like let's cut to the chase. Like this is how it is because we're at a place right now in our collective society and who we are as souls and people on the planet is that we have the most unlimited opportunities available to us. And I'm getting chills as I say this.
Me too. Oh my God.
Complete chills, complete.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's around the fact that we can be and we can do anything we want to, anything we put our mind to. And so what you work with is a lot of entrepreneurs in all kinds of realms. Like I'm in the spiritual business and I do that. And you have people in the relationship and all finance, all kinds of businesses. But this is a critical time for people to really go, okay, if you're ready, it's game on.
Oh, I love that. And it's funny, actually, I shared a piece of content earlier this week and it was just a line at the bottom. So it wasn't even the theme about what you've just said, but it was exactly that, which is, um, last year was such an incredibly difficult time for me. I was in a really turbulent on again, off again relationship, and it took the entire year to break up, right? And of course, that stuff impacts your business. Of course, it does. Now, interestingly, we still doubled our revenue last year, but but from an emotional and a mental and a spiritual perspective, it was a difficult time. And the beauty of that was I got to the end of last year and I went and I watched other coaches and consultants and what was going on for them. And I saw around me people forgot why they got started in business. People got on this hamster wheel of I've got to do. There's never enough. I'm not enough. I've got to do more. And I saw the light start to diminish in people's eyes because they forgot why they started in their business. Because when they started, they were having a cracking great time. They were making boss moves. They were being confident and courageous. They were they were having fun because they were doing it from source, from soul, from spirit, right? They were energized. And what happens after you're in your business for a period of time is, I see this happen a lot. People start to lose that connection to it. So the gift that I got out of the difficulty last year was this theme of have the time of your life. You can build your dream business. You can make all the money that you want to make, and you will. And I did, but have the time of your life doing it. Otherwise, there's no point because the money will come and go, right? So what I was saying in my content the other day and what you've just brought up here that lights our body up is this whole piece around it doesn't matter where you've come from. It doesn't matter what you were born into. It doesn't matter what your life was like as a teenager, your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. I've even got clients in their 70s, right? So it doesn't matter where you've been up until today, because we do live in a world where we have access to the entire universe, the entire universe. Now, this is incredible for me because as a teenager, there wasn't mobile phones. I grew up in a very small country town of 40,000 people. And this is not to take away from country towns, but the vibrational level typically as a collective in country towns is a lot lower than what you find in the city, right? So it was a dark black hole for me. And I thought I'd be stuck there forever. And I grew up in a low socioeconomic environment. So I share that because it's like there is in that life that you're not thinking, could I ever be a millionaire? You're not thinking, could I ever have my own impact? You're thinking, go find a job, 9 to 5, save for a house that you then spend the rest of your life paying off, or chained to a desk, right? And it is so freaking exciting to me that we live in a time where you can run your entire life and make millions from this beautiful little thing, this mobile device. Like anybody that has a bad word to say about the people that invented the mobile phone, the smartphone, or Facebook in particular, I mean, I am so grateful to those human beings because they have unlocked a portal to the rest of the world for all of us. And if you want something, now is the time, but you've got to get yourself around the right people and you've got to get yourself the right resources.
And that's some of that mirroring,
Right.
like mirroring each. Yeah. If I find the people you want to mirror and find that muse, which you'd like to talk about a lot, that
Yeah.
muse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you want to, who's the person to go, okay, yeah, I want what they're having and I'm going to get that
Yeah.
and make it your way.
Make it, yeah, so that's the really important thing, right? Because we see a lot of people showing up on social media copying other people that they look up to, and I mean copying, right? Copying. And that diminishes your own voice. So it's like you don't want to be copying, but you want to find people who you aspire to have what they have, and then you model and add your own uniqueness, your own voice to it. And so there is a difference between modeling mirroring versus copying. And I think the other important thing is your friends are there for support, they're not there for advice. So stop going and asking your mum, your sister, your best friend, how do I grow my business? How do I create content? How do I develop a system? How do I what is my purpose and all that sort of stuff? Unless those people are inside your target audience and would pay you, or unless they've got exactly what it is that you want. Too many people are taking advice from friends and family instead of people that have actually done what it is that they want to do.
That feels like an important piece. So finding the mentors,
Yeah.
finding the people that resonate. And it's interesting that you shared the story about last year and how I was with you a little bit, then it didn't resonate for a while. And then it resonated again, and then it really resonated, and then I signed on. So, I mean, seriously, like what you were going through, I was probably. I mean, I'm very sensitive. I was probably didn't know, but I was sensing that no, no, it's not time to work with Shani right now. And
Mm.
then everything, of course, in the way I believe is everything works at the right timing. So it's just interesting that, yeah. So finding support, finding people that resonate, finding the mentors, like finding you, finding other people, but and you help people. I mean, your clientele is around the world,
Yeah,
which is back to
17
that little
different.
device. It's so awesome, right?
Yeah, I mean, it blows me away. 17 we currently operate in 17 different time zones, so we have people in 17 different time zones. And it's really really funny because I shared this the other day in our community as well. Cuz remember, small town country girl here. Um I didn't know that there were other time zones in the world. I didn't know. So so when I started business, I was like, okay, cool, it's 7 a.m. here, so it's 7 a.m. everywhere. So
That's a little universe right there, Shani.
right? So sometimes one of the growth edges for people when they come into my community, our community, is that they have to learn how to navigate time zones because we obviously have calls. Now that I know about time zones, I have set my business up to meet all of the time zones and we have calls at relevant times. But when people come in, sometimes one of the biggest growth edges is that they have to work out what is the time conversion of the calls and then
Yes.
learn how to change their calendar to suit the calls, create healthy habits, and set loving boundaries in their life for that 1 hour a day to be there in order for their own growth. But I mean, sometimes that's one of the biggest things that you get, which is huge. If you can do that, it flows into every other part of your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know that that's part of the mind, body, spirit. So this is not only your business is not only about creating creating content that actually makes a difference and you can connect with your clients and business, but it's for your whole being.
It totally is. And I think that anybody who comes in, most people that come in come to work with me because they want to grow their business. And yes, you get that, but
Mhm.
you get so much more. And I could sit here and say it, but I mean, what have you gotten so far, Teresa? Because you're in the community. What have you been able to receive?
Well, in just the past few weeks that I signed up, because it's January 2023, I mean, like massive changes and new realities and new like perspective of who I am and how I want to be seen in the world.
Mm.
And you got little chills again. And this is only a couple weeks in because and so last year when I did it, I was having trouble with find the time zones. I didn't know when the classes were. So there was a lot. I was not in the right space to even go there. Like it was crazy. But this year it's like game on. And I feel that's also the aspect of where I'm at collectively, as well as where is everyone in the whole earth and universe. So let's talk a little bit about universe, Shani, because you've got an amazing universal, what do you call it? A class, a workshop,
Program. Yeah.
program. That's it. See,
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
even think about it because I'm so out there.
You know,
I'm
you
already
know,
in
like
it, Shani.
well, like Madonna is just Madonna and Prince is just Prince. Like the universe and the program that we're about to start in February, it's called Universe. Literally, it's called Universe, but it's just Universe, right? It just is what it is. It's just
That's right.
what it
Strike a
is.
pose.
Yes, strike a pose, which we're also doing in Feb.
Oh my God. That's true. Oh, this is so good. This is lining up. This is lining up, Shani.
Right? So I do have a program starting in February, which will be available. It'll be evergreen. So I know that this will, when you're listening to this, it's going to be May. And so if you do want to plug into this program, it's not too late. You can connect and get in there. But so the Universe program, I truly believe that it's one of those things that has come to me through me from the universe, literally. And it's definitely like my best work to date because I teach a lot of strategy. It's definitely part of what I do. And if you want to have an impact and you want to have your own business, whatever that looks like for you, you have to have strategy, hands down. You can't be always thinking just about energy and just about who I'm being. That's half the equation. So strategy is really important. But why can two business owners, service providers, coaches, consultants, why can two people have pretty much the exact same strategy and get such different results? Mm-hmm. And Universe is answering that question. So like the trajectory of my business growth has not made sense, right? So in my first month, I hit 5 figures and I had no prior audience built. I literally had like 200 odd friends. Most of them were people from the small country town at school who picked on me anyway, right? So they were not people that were going to buy from me. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yes. But I managed to get to 5 figures in 30 days. In my first year in business, we did just over 350,000. We then got to 7 figures, and last year we doubled our revenue, right? So it's like, why? Because I'm in the top 4% of earners in the coaching industry. Most people don't even hit 10K a month, right? So it's like, why is that? Because there's lots of people that did similar programs to me that don't have those results. So Universe is about unlocking what's within you and your connection to how you use universal laws as an energetic and as a practicality. It's mystical meets practical, because the reason that I've been able to do what I've done and so quickly is both what I'm doing, but also my connection to source, who I'm being. And everybody has that access, and your listeners will have already been on a journey. So it's not about doing something new. It's about unlocking your next level. It's like, how do I get to the next portal? How do I move up the next concentric sphere? Right? And so that's what Universe is.
Super exciting and timely. I think it's timely. It's like we're all ready for this.
Yeah. And what I love about the delivery is the simplicity in it, right? So how many times do you take a program and you're like, your mind is getting blown and you're having all of these sparks, but then you come out of the program and you do almost nothing with it because you're like, hang on a minute. I got it at the time I was listening, but now I don't know how to execute it. Right? It's like, what do I do with that? So the way that I'm delivering this year, it's so simple. And I think a lot of coaches or consultants, service providers get concerned about simplicity. They're like, but if people pay me all this money and it's simple, then it's not valuable. No, simplicity means your people get the results, right? So Universe is literally bite-sized videos that is going to say, this is the universal law. This is how you energetically connect to it. And this is a practical strategy, a step to go do today that elevates the plane, and then that's it. And watch what happens.
Oh, I'm filled with chills. That's so brilliant. That's so brilliant, because I am all about keeping it simple.
Yeah.
And I think complex is crazy.
Yeah.
I really do. Because I'm the same with you. I've been to so many, especially weekend retreats or week long or whatever, and I'm so full. And what do I do with that? Nothing. Or I buy something online and I do this event and I'm like, whatever, and I don't even finish it. So, yeah.
And was that one of the things for you that was like really attractive about? So you've joined the collective, which is my year-long membership, but
Mhm.
like the Doers Hub in the collective, was
Yes.
that the thing?
That was, but for myself, it really just met me energetically.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
I'm ready to go there, and I wasn't ready last year. I was dabbling, and so I'm thankful I found you. And
Mhm.
I let's say I put my white toe in, but I wasn't ready to be fully immersed. And so this year, I'm in, like I'm swimming the deep end.
Oh, and that totally, and you see it already with how you're showing up. Like you are, yeah, 100%. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that whole conversation around, like, if as a business owner in any shape or form, your listeners, if they definitely value personal and professional growth, meaning that they are constantly buying the next book or the next program. And this was another thing that I saw last year. I was like, there's a gap in the market where people keep learning new things and then they get analysis paralysis and they beat themselves up and they get frustrated because they didn't execute even even a percent of what they know that they could have executed. And what I was seeing was, you go do this program, you love what you learned, you execute almost nothing, and then you make it mean something bad about yourself. You beat yourself up. Shame and guilt lowers your self-worth, lowers your ability to go out there and make a bigger impact. And
Mhm.
so the collective, we've got the Doers Hub as part of the collective membership, and it's really everything that the coaching industry has been missing, which is, so like you'll come and do the Universe program, and then we
Mhm.
have two Doers Hubs where the community now logs in
Mhm.
and we do the work with you. So you set up what you learned in your business,
Brilliant.
right? So now
Yeah.
you're going to execute everything that you learned. So now you increase your confidence, which is why it's
Mhm.
called the Confident Coaching Collective, collective for short.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
increase your confidence and you increase your results because you're actually taking the action on the things that you learned. Like, I'm just so excited by it.
I am too. And like I said, it's timely, it's perfect, and the listeners can go on and they can find it on your website. And so let's talk a little bit about. I mean, we've mentioned a couple things you do. You have a book, you got a the collective, you've got a universe coming up. But how can they connect with you, Shani? And do you want to share any other things that you offer, because you've got all kinds of offerings for different levels of people?
I think, thanks for asking. And I will send you my link tree so you can put
Mhm.
that in the notes.
Okay.
And there's
Mhm.
just like four simple things there. So I think the first thing for anybody, I know as a consumer, I'm not going to go and buy stuff from somebody that I like, that I don't know, right?
Mhm.
So if you're listening right now and you don't know who I am, you've never heard of me, the first thing to do is go and connect with me on Facebook so that you can start to consume some of what I share, because I share content pretty much every day. And
Mhm.
I share content that you can actually use in your business.
Mhm.
It's not this fluffy, oh, I can't share the real and the raw because somebody won't buy from me. Like, it's the stuff that you can use straight away.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
or go and buy the $30 book and have a read. But
Mhm.
I would love for you to come and connect with me on Facebook, because that's my playground. I know people are
Mhm.
into Instagram and LinkedIn and whatever, but Facebook is the playground for me because I love it, because it's reciprocal connection as opposed to just getting followers. It's like
Mhm.
you're connected.
Yeah.
And then of course, I know you'll have a bunch of links and stuff in the show notes.
Absolutely. Every single link I'll have in there for you. And Shawnee, it's been so wonderful. I love you so much. And I'm so thankful you came on today to share with my listeners.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you. And yeah, I just think you're incredible. And if your listeners haven't already connected with you in a more direct and meaningful way, then they definitely should jump on that, because your ability to read people, connect with people and their soul and guide them is just exceptional.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. And once again, a big thanks for Shawnee for coming on from Sydney, Australia, and sharing her beautiful services and her energy with all of you listeners. So please remember, if you've not subscribed, please do. And so you don't miss any upcoming episodes released every Tuesday on TNT Spiritworks YouTube channel as well as all podcast channels. And until next week, just remember that life is too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey.